Good evening and welcome to News at 5 on Channels Television. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Our top stories this hour. The National Police Council has confirmed Mr. Olatunji Disu as the substantive Inspector General of Police. His name is now to be sent to the Senate for screening. Mr. Disu took over the reins of power last week as the acting IGP. President Bola Tinubu approved Mr. Disu's appointment on February the 24th, 2026, following the resignation of the former IGP, Kayode Egbetokun. He was decorated in his new rank at a ceremony in Abuja by President Tinubu at the presidential villa. The family of former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has publicly accused the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission for orchestrating what it describes as a malicious smear campaign following allegations that operatives recovered sophisticated phone tapping equipment from a property linked to the former governor. In a statement issued by his son, Mohammed El-Rufai, the family rejected claims that Mr. El-Rufai refused to cooperate with investigators and dismissed reports of seized espionage equipment as fiction. The ICPC had earlier alleged that certain items recovered during a search operation suggested the presence of surveillance-related devices. However, Mr. El-Rufai's family insists that only old discarded personal mobile phones, flash drives and laptops were taken from the premises. According to the family, the former governor had challenged authorities to file formal charges if any evidence exists against him. The statement also questioned the legality of the search warrants used to conduct that operation, alleging that it was fraudulently procured and signed without proper jurisdiction. The family says its legal team has already filed a challenge in court to contest the validity of the warrant and any evidence purportedly obtained through it. However, the ICPC has not issued any official response to the family's latest claims. Eminent Nigerians have expressed mixed up opinions on the recent assented Electoral Law 2026 and the consequent outcome of the 2027 electoral process. In a citizens' town hall meeting on the 2026 Electoral Act, the contentious real-time electronic transmission of results, electoral transparency in a free and fair environment were all brought to the front burner as discussion stirred emotions among participants.
The action does not stop right here.
It is a citizens' town hall on Electoral Act 2026, organized by Yeager Africa and hosted by the political editor of Channels Television, Sheun Akimbaloy.
Part of the town hall is crucial for all of us, wherever we may be.
Discussions are centered around electioneering processes, leading to final declaration of results.
There's one man who has instituted.
At the center of this electoral debate are the INEC, civil society organizations, political parties, pressure groups, and some members of the electorate.
The selection within the political parties.
The event is segmented into 3 sessions of panel discussions, with each session focusing on a specific aspect of the election process.
When it was my turn to speak.
First to speak is the chairman of INEC, Professor Josh Amopito.
INEC was involved in the process that produced the 2026 Electoral Act. The process started about 2 years ago, and a joint committee consisting of the members of the National Assembly, some civil society, as well as INEC was constituted. As at the time I was taking over, the work was almost concluded. But nonetheless, we still made some important provisions and recommendations in the new acts. Now, even talking about the transmission of the results, you will notice that from the original provision that came out of the retreat from the National Assembly, it's not exactly what you have today. But when INEC came in, we talk of transmission should be mandatory.
Having set the tone, the first set of panelists take the center stage to discuss their understanding of the new Electoral Act.
From staff communications.
Questions are then entertained before the second set of discussants take to the stage to discuss issues of candidate nominations and party primaries.
Average voter participation.
The final session of the day focused on what should be done before the 2027 elections, with panelists drawn from civil societies and opinion leaders.
Law and elections of Nigeria.
After the discussions, a wrap-up session commences.
In this process that led to the passage of the 2026 Act, we did a lot of work. We made submissions. We interacted with the legislators in both chambers. We interacted with other stakeholders. What did we not do? We made submissions and participated in public hearing and all. And one day we woke up. Oh, the material had gone to the office of Mr. President and there had been absent. And we asked for copies. And we saw a mix of wins and disappointments.
The Citizens' Town Hall has opened a floodgate of questions on the preparedness of INEC and their willingness to deliver credible elections that will reflect the wishes of majority of Nigerians.
Members of the National Peace Committee have convened a stakeholders briefing to present some items of the nation's Electoral Peace Accord, a move aimed at reinforcing commitment to peaceful conduct ahead of elections. The meetings bring together key actors in the democratic process to review concerns surrounding compliance with the agreements traditionally signed by political actors before the polls. Among those in attendance are the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Hassan Kuka, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Amukpito, and the chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, alongside leaders of political parties and members of civil society groups. The representation of the annotations followed growing public concerns about the level of adherence to the provision of the peace accord. The committee also says that efforts is designed to clarify expectations, strengthen accountability among political actors, and ensure that elections are conducted in an atmosphere of peace and respect for democratic rules. The National Environment Standards and the Regulations Enforcement Agencies have visited a Chinese-led company, Daijin Jia Investment Limited, located in the nation's capital, Abuja, specifically in the Akko Airport Road area. The company is allegedly involved in business activities that have drawn local scrutiny. Reports indicate that this entity is connected to Chinese-led operations, with residents demanding a halt to rock blasting activities. Upon arrival, the NESREA officials had a heated confrontation as the army authority deployed to the company disallowed the closure of the facility. The agency has alleged the company's blasting activities have threatened resident buildings and has also killed a young child, putting the safety of families in danger. NESREA alleges that it has no permit and certification from the Chinese company on blasting plans. And stakeholders in the legal and governance sectors have emphasized the importance of simplifying technical legal documents, especially constitutional and administrative laws. The call was made during a legal gathering held in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, where the stakeholders submitted that legal documents written in simple language will improve public knowledge of the law.
Law is simple. This event in Port Harcourt, River State, forms part of sustained efforts to interrogate Nigeria's evolving constitutional journey and examine practical ways of making legal provisions more accessible and easier to understand by citizens. The gathering draws prominent dignitaries, including a representative of the governor of River State, the chief judge of the state, retired Supreme Court Justice Mary Odili, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, public office holders, and members of the bar and bench. Although the law covers a wide spectrum of subjects, discussions at the forum focus specifically on Nigeria's constitutional and administrative laws, two pillars that shape governance, define citizens' rights, and regulates the exercise of public power.
For many students and even practitioners, the subject is often perceived as abstract, technical, and difficult to navigate. Remember my earlier comment, how I struggled. Concepts such as administrative discretion, delegated legislation, judicial review, natural justice and ultra-violence are explained in a manner that is easy to understand, logically sequenced, and firmly grounded in Nigerian constitutional and judicial realities.
Many Nigerians do not read the Constitution. Perhaps some feel they live in a system where the law is inconsistently applied. Perhaps others find the language technical, a bit dense and inaccessible. For many citizens, the Constitution appears to be that document reserved for lawyers and perhaps politicians.
The Chief Judge of Rivers State says simplifying legal language will not dilute the law, but rather strengthen democratic values.
Simplifying the understanding of the law will aid practitioners and end users of both constitutional and administrative law and procedures, whether they be judges, lawyers, students, administrators, or the public. A society that understands its law is a society better equipped to defend its freedoms.
Governor Siminalayi Fubara, represented by the Solicitor General of the state, reiterates his administration's commitment to initiatives that deepen respect for the rule of law and improve institutional governance.
The government of Rivers State is committed to strengthening institutions based on the principles of fairness, transparency, and the rule of law.
Central to the event is the work of Victor Onebeli, a law lecturer at Rivers State University, who has authored simplified versions of Nigeria's constitutional and administrative laws.
Women and girls in Adamawa State now have improved access to digital reporting tools and economic empowerment opportunities following the commissioning of 2 ICT empowerment and safe centers in Yola North and Numan local government areas of the state. This initiative, supported by the United Nations and the state government, is designed to help victims of gender-based violence report cases digitally, access support services, and build sustainable livelihoods.
These ICT centers being unveiled are equipped with digital facilities for gender-related violence, which allows survivors to confidentially report cases, connects with legal and psychosocial support services, and access referrals through structured digital platforms. The safe centers located within Yola North and Numan local government areas will offer counseling, temporary protection, and coordinated response services for vulnerable women and girls, according to the UN Women Country Representative and other development partners.
We cannot have sustainable development without partnership. That is why the 17th SDG is on partnership. So this partnership that we have developed with the local government area, the Ministry of Women's Affairs, and the different partners, is a very strong partnership, and we cherish it and we want to keep it.
So we created the Mixed Observers team with P1, and I'm happy that since that platform was created, a lot of women and girls who are being abused report such cases. These MOTs make sure that these women get justice. The perpetrators are actually prosecuted, and they provide psychosocial support, mental health support to women who are suffering in silence.
Protecting women and ensuring justice for survivors is the sole aim of this ICT empowerment and safe centers.
It is an honor to have her in the state because that means the UN women have us at heart. They have sponsored us in different activities of government. They have helped the women in different ways. And today she is here to open up the computer center that they have given us. And this computer center, apart from what it's going to help us do in reporting GBV cases, is also going to help us business-wise. Because after training the women, you know, if you have a computer center, you know how to really run it, because they're going to train them to even use it as a business, so that, you know, once you have financial stability, it's also a thing of pride.
God, I have the honor to open this place today.
With the unveiling of the ICT empowerment and safe centers, stakeholders believe a new chapter begins where technology serves as a bridge to justice, protection, and economic independence for women and girls who are vulnerable to gender-based violence in the states.
Yes, ma'am.
My news track returns to find out the latest happening in Nasarawa State and the launch of a construction of over 430 houses for workers in the state. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, has launched the construction of over 430 houses for workers in the state. The move is in collaboration with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria under its Affordable Workers Housing Scheme. The governor says the project represents the vision of his administration to provide affordable housing for workers as calculated in the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy document. Our correspondent Halima Gayam reports.
Chief Executive of the FNB.
Stakeholders from Nasarawa State, members of the organized labor and representatives of the Federal Mortgage Bank led by its managing director, joined Governor Abdullahi Sule in Akuruba as the state moves to provide affordable houses for workers.
The ambassador of peace of Nasarawa State.
The state government is collaborating with the Federal Mortgage Bank under its Affordable Housing Scheme for workers to provide 430 units of houses for workers of the state.
Into politics, this man has brought peace into the existence.
For Governor Abdullahi Sule, the project represents the fulcrum of his administration as captured by the Nasarawa Economic Development Strategy.
This achievement did not happen in isolation. It is directly connected to the ease of doing business and institutional strengthening efforts that we have implemented over several years. It is part of a deliberate effort of making housing affordable, available, and accessible to our own people.
Over 15,000 workers and retirees in the state have benefited from various projects of the bank.
In addition to these projects and other residential projects we have financed across Nasarawa State, the bank has also disbursed over 9.5 billion naira in home renovation loans to 10,601 civil servants in the state.
Stakeholders flank the governor as he breaks the ground for the construction of the houses.
Together for him.
430 units of houses will be constructed in the first phase of the project, which will be built across the 3 senatorial zones of the state.
This scheme, Your Excellency, affordable houses will be built across different zones in Nasarawa State, and will have the opportunity for our people, your own people, to offtake these houses and become homeowners.
The houses will be sited in Lafia, Akwanga, Gudi, Toto, Doma and Kiana communities to ensure workers who contribute to the National Housing Fund have access to affordable homes. Halima Gayam, Channels Television News.
Jurors of Southwark Crown Court have been shown further financial and property evidence in the bribery trial of former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Daisani Alison-Madueke. Prosecutors today focused on property purchases linked to the church connected to her co-defendant, as well as luxury furnishings allegedly funded by prominent businessmen. Mrs. Alison-Madueke denies all charges. Juliana Olainka reports from London.
At Southwark Crown Court today, jurors were presented with further financial and property evidence in the bribery trial of former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Daisani Alison-Madueke. The prosecution focused first on the Christian Way of Life Church, incorporated in the summer of 2008, where her brother and co-defendant, Archbishop Doye Agama, was listed as a director. The court heard that 4 properties were purchased between 2013 and 14 in the church's name. Emails shown to the jurors stated the properties were acquired outright through donations. The jury was told that £1 million was also credited into the church account by businessman Benedict Peters. Prosecutors also pointed to thousands of pounds in expenditure from that same account on international holiday stays, including multiple Hilton properties. The court then turned to luxury furnishings. Jurors were shown photographs of high-end antiques and designer pieces purchased from London dealer Vincenzo Caffarella. The prosecution says the items, which include Italian armchairs and Venetian glass lighting, were paid for by Nigerian businessman Kola Aluko and later found in properties and storage units linked to Alison-Madueke. She faces 5 counts of accepting bribes and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery relating to alleged conduct between 2011 and 2015. She has pleaded not guilty. The trial continues. Juliana Olayinka reporting for Channels Television News at Southwark Crown Court.
Thank you, Juliana. The federal government says that it has commenced the implementation of Executive Order 9 of 2026, which mandates the direct and remittance of oil revenues to the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, who announced this development today in a statement, says the transition will allow the new system be introduced without disrupting existing contractual and financing arrangements in the oil sector. The policy follows the executive order issued by President Bola Tinubu, directing that revenues from petroleum operations be handled in a way that protects public funds and strengthens the finances of the three tiers of government. This move is intended to strengthen the management of petroleum revenues and safeguard public funds. The African Finance Corporation and the federal government through the Solid Minerals Development Fund have signed an investment agreement to jointly finance 3 strategic projects, including a $1.3 billion alumina refinery, a nationwide geoscience mapping exercise, and a special investment vehicle to unlock Nigeria's minerals potential. According to a statement issued by the Special Assistant on Media to the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Segun Tomori, the alumina refinery is expected to process about 1 million tons of bauxite annually using a modern bioprocess flow chute, supported by an on-site gas-fired cogeneration plant to generate steam and power. And this agreement, signed in Abuja, marks the climax of months of negotiations between both parties. It also signals growing investor confidence in ongoing reforms in the country's mining sector. Economic and policy think tank, the Center for Promotion of Private Enterprises, has reacted to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East involving the United States, Israel, and Iran. In a statement issued by its chief executive, Dr. Muda Yusuf, the CPPE painted that the military confrontation in the region would have a wider impact on the global economy, including Nigeria, especially on the country's oil sector. According to the think tank, the latest crisis in the Middle East holds a double-edged sword for Nigeria, which also includes crude windfall due to higher oil prices, which could actually translate into improved fiscal revenue, foreign exchange earnings, and stronger external reserves. But on the reverse side of it, it could lead to increase in fuel prices. On the downside, the risk, the CPPE cautions that the manufacturing, aviation, logistics, and consumer goods companies may face margin compression due to higher energy and input costs, while foreign portfolio flows could weaken if global financial tightening intensifies due to the conflict. However, the think tank recommends that the current situation presents an opportunity for disciplined fiscal consolidation, moderation of accumulated public debt, and prioritizing capital expenditure over recurrent spending. And away from business stories, the Department of State Services has arrested the suspect Udeme Sunday Stephen, who's in connection with the attack of former Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi and others in Benin City, the Edo State capital, on February the 23rd, 2026. The incident follows the invasion of the ADC Secretariat in Benin City by gunmen during the formal defection of former Edo State governorship candidate Olumide Akpata from the Labour Party to the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. And reports also say that armed hoodlums shot at Mr. Obi and former Edo State Governor Odije Oyegun, as well as members of the Obedience Movement, while they were moving to Mr. Oyegun's residence from the ADC Secretariat in Edo State. And that's the news at 5 this evening. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Good evening.